Hi, Eric Wilson here. I'll be your teacher for Creative Writing 387, Literary Nonfiction. Very excited about this workshop. I've taught many workshops here, but this is my favorite because we're going to be exploring memoir, a subgenre of literary nonfiction that I value very deeply. It's a subgenre that I've explored over many years of my own life. I've written in this subgenre in long form and short form. And I can tell you that this course will open you up, not only as a writer, but as a person. And that's what I'd like to talk about here is the value of writing memoir, not just for the joy of describing your particular life on the page, but for the way that I believe memoir allows you to become aware of parts of yourself and your experience that no other form of writing will encourage. First and foremost, I believe that memoir encourages us to become aware of the complexity of our own subjectivity. We come to realize that our subjectivity, is not something that's static. The idea that you somehow find yourself is ridiculous to the memoir writer. For the memoir writer, there's a real awareness that we don't find a self, but we make a self. How do we do that? Well, think of how many things that have happened to you in your lifetime. Millions. Think of how many of those events that you can even remember. Hundreds of thousands. But think of how many of those events really come to mind if I were to ask you, who are you? Your mind would almost involuntarily start piecing together a narrative based on extremely vivid memories. I'm the person that had this happen when I was 4. And because that happened when I was 4, this happened when I was 6, which led to this happening when I was 12, and so on and so forth. The idea being that at any given time in our personal history, our I is a site of selection of a particular number of memories that give the I at that moment a sense of stability. And of course, these memories are pieced together very often in a chronological form. So there's a way in which our I is a character in a novel that we are constantly writing and rewriting. The I that you describe when you're 21 will not be the I that you describe when you're 31, 41, so on and so forth. Because by the time you're 31, what the memories you valued at 21 may not be as valuable anymore. And maybe memories you overlooked when you were 21 now are quite prominent in your memory. So we want to be very much aware of the I as a process of interpretation, which on the one hand does make it difficult ultimately to say, this is who I am, but on the other hand, gives us almost infinite possibilities for thinking about how we will explore and piece together our past. So that's one value of writing memoir, I believe, the exploration of the complexity and the dynamism of the I. Second, memory. What is memory? Well, memory is not a bank, like a memory bank that we sometimes imagine it to be. It's not an archive. Memory is really an act of remembering. So memory is a dynamic faculty that, like our imagination, allows us, again, to piece together a cogent narrative from our past. But this means that the memory will value some events more than others. It will emphasize some events, de-emphasize other events. Some events will be approached ironically. Other events will be approached seriously. Some events might be repressed. So we're going to realize that memory is not only essential for our shaping of our I, but memory in a very real way is, without us even thinking about it, therapeutic. What does that mean? William Wordsworth, the great British Romantic poet, says that there are in our lives spots of time. That's his phrase, spots of time. And these are moments in our past when we were especially alive. Could be moments of joy, but could be moments of pain, could be moments of trauma. And the when we feel lethargic, emotionally paralyzed, depressed, let's say, in the present, We have the ability through our memory to reach back to those spots of time when we felt vital and bring them to bear on the present moment. And we might revive ourselves. As he says in his poem, The Prelude, so feeling comes in aid of feeling, and diversity of strength attends us if but once we have been strong. So the acts of memory will be undertaken in this course will not only hopefully empower you to write beautiful memoirs, but will also allow you to think of your memory as a therapeutic faculty. A third value, I believe, of writing memoir is that it encourages you, forces you even, to explore your particular voice. Voice is key in memoir. Literary voice is extremely difficult to define, but it's essential to powerful writing. What is your voice? Well, think about how you talk to yourself in your most private moments when no one is around, when no one's looking, and your mind is just moving as your mind moves. The rhythms of that speech, the syntax of that speech, the diction of that speech. Can we translate that particular voice, unprecedented, unpredictable, never to be repeated again? Can we translate that particular voice to the page? If you can do that in such a way that that voice is communicated in an understandable way to readers, you'll be very far along in writing memoir. You'll be very far along in writing any form of literature. Of course, it's extremely difficult to do this because we all grew up controlled by the cliches of television, movies, advertising. It's very hard to move from a general understanding of yourself in general language to a particular understanding of yourself in particular language. So one way we'll do that again is to explore your particular memories, the idiosyncratic memories that only you have that no one else has had, and figuring out a way to voice those in such a way that they are rendered into the world powerfully. So I would say that voice, like self, is an interplay between what is and what is made. We do have within us a certain way of speaking deep inside of our consciousness. But we are selecting different parts of that when we start writing about those experiences. So voice is constructed as much as it is reflected, just as self is constructed as much as it is reflected. And of course, memory itself is, we might say, the vehicle that allows us in constructing an I, constructing a voice, to negotiate between the facts of our lives, things that have really happened, and our feelings toward those facts. This is what is the difference between an autobiography and a memoir. An autobiography is simply, I'm going to give you the facts. A memoir is, I'm going to give you the feelings about those facts. And it's the memory that allows us to negotiate between what has happened and how we feel about what has happened. So I really look forward to this class. We're going to do some fabulous writing. We're going to do a lot of writing. We're going to do some great reading. I promise you will not be the same by the end of the semester. All right. See you Thursday.